Brian, I'd imagine, the wish to become a CEO of a big famous rugby league club would be something that many, many people work very, very hard for and to ultimately become. But these are the days when you really got to earn the docks. And I've got to say, the Dragon CEO, Ryan Webb, to his great credit, with all that's gone down today, is on the line. G'day, Ryan.
Good afternoon.
How's your day been, Ryan? How's it all unfolded for you?
Look, it's been a busy day, and it's been a fairly long day, and it particularly a bit heavier, I guess, when you're dealing with people's lives, I suppose, in these things, and there's a lot of personalities and emotions that come along with it. So, like you said, it's not one you want to encounter every day, but these are the things that have to be done.
So how does it all play out? So you get together. Ultimately, the chairman, Andrew Lancaster, at 8 o'clock informs Griffin. How was that decided upon, him saying and giving the news, and how did Anthony take that news?
The decision with the coach is ultimately a board decision. So originally the plan was to discuss this at the board meeting today. We had our scheduled monthly board meeting, but I guess a few discussions yesterday hastened it, I guess, or sped it up. And the thought was if we could get something sorted, and I think there was a few discussions last night, and get it done early in the day, it'd be a bit of a less disturbance for the players, because they had a full training day today. They got a day off, and then captain's run, and then we play the Roosters. So this was the only full training day we had. So by getting onto it early in the day, it just allowed for that slightly less amount of disruption, I guess. So that's how it played out. And Andrew and I sat with Anthony this morning, and Anthony's a brilliant human, a great guy, and if anyone knows him, he's a very stoic and straight up sort of fella. So he took it as you'd expect. He doesn't give much away, to be honest, but he was fantastic.
Hey Ryan, what does the board members make up? Is it half Illawarra, half St George, or is it a mixture?
No, it's essentially that. But so we've got two shareholders. One's the St George District Rugby League Footy Club, and then the other one is the Wing Corporation. So each of those shareholders gets to appoint 4 board members, and how they do that, that's up to their own internal processes.
In the fair dinkum stakes, how big a challenge is that? Because, and there's a text here, which I'll read out to you. Was the joint venture working when the West Tigers and St George Illawarra won their premierships? What a load of rubbish. Refuting what we're saying. The challenges are huge. Northern Eagles, West Tigers, St George Illawarra. Yes, both clubs have won a premiership, but pro rata to how many teams were in the competition versus how many premierships have been won, it's fair to say that both joint ventures have underachieved. How hard is that, Ryan?
It's a unique one for me to answer, I guess, because my background, I guess, is not from an area where there is joint ventures. I'm more AFL background in that sense. But look, I haven't found that I sit in a boardroom and I speak to two halves. It doesn't feel like that at all. I'd say when I genuinely sit down and we talk about coaching appointments or pathways programs or women's programs, whatever it happens to be, genuinely I sit there with a group of people who want the best for St George Illawarra. So I don't feel that. I think maybe the perception out there is a lot stronger. So I guess the easiest way to say, I'd like to be more successful. I think everyone wants our club to be more successful. And I don't think I could blame the fact or point to the fact that we're a joint venture as a reason for not being successful. I think that'd be too easy a cop out.
Ryan, when you sign a coach, and we'll use Anthony Griffin for an example, in their contract or in their job description, do they have KPIs? I.e., if you aren't sitting here on the ladder after 10 rounds, you'll be looked at, or is it just a decision made month to month when the board meets?
I wouldn't say all contracts are different. That's probably the first way to answer that. But generally, you don't have such clear-cut KPIs as this is where you need to be sitting, I think. And for us, we have Anthony with us for 2.5 years. I think I guess in real general terms, you want to see just improvement and growth. And that was probably the piece where, we backed Anthony in for this year, and we got off to a mixed start. We're about 2-2, but then we just haven't been able to get across the line for about 6 weeks now. So that level of improvement or that continued growth just seems to have stalled, I think. And I think that's what kind of prompted the board to act as they have.
How did you land on the new coach or the temporary coach, Ryan Carr? Now, I know Ryan a little bit, and every single person screams about how good a fellow he is and staunch. And, Madge said that today with Jimmy Smith earlier on today. But part of me sort of goes, and if I was a coach personally, I'd be signing as a team. So we're actually in this together. One bloke's been given the Rissole, and another one's been given a promotion to run one of the most famous clubs in the history of the game. It's sort of... Do you understand what I'm saying there, Ryan?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, and I think the best way I can almost answer that is the decision that was made this morning to move Anthony, I guess, or finish his time with us. And I said this to the group: this doesn't make us better. This one decision doesn't make us all of a sudden a better team. Ryan's now got to step up. Players have to step up, and everyone around the club's got to find a way to make us better now. This one action this morning doesn't. It's just the first piece. So Ryan's got a big job to do. We'll give him all the support. He's a confident guy. He speaks really clearly. He's really defined on what he thinks you need to get the best out of people. So I think in the position that we're in, we needed someone who's going to back themselves with their decision making. So that's why I think he's got the job, and we've got some support staff around him, and we'll keep looking at who we need around him because there's still a fair chunk of the season to run.
Ryan, do any of the current players in the top 30 have a clause in their contract that if Anthony Griffin is let go, that they can get out of their contract?
No, we've got no clauses, anything like that one.
Okay. Because I only say that because of the obvious.
Well, Ben Hunt.
Yeah, the Ben Hunt. There's been a little bit of noise around Ben Hunt. He was quoted saying, if we get a new coach, I don't think I'm that far into my career. I don't think I've got the patience to be under another coach. That's all I'm asking that question.
Yeah, I can see where the question's coming from. I think at the root of it, Ben wants success. He wants to win. He's not coming to the point end. He's got a few years left in him, but he wants success. So he doesn't want to have to spend a lot of time building something back up. So I think that's where it's driven from. But that's exactly what we all want as a club. We think this group as a whole has got a bit more talent than what they're showing at the moment. So we think there can be a bit of a turnaround in the short term, and then we can keep building, get back on track for a bit of the long term once we appoint the new coach.
Are you worried that Ben Hunt might want to get out of his Dragons contract?
No.
Okay.
I don't think. No, in short, no.
Okay.
Do you have a personal preference, Ryan, as to this next coach? Because it is arguably, alongside South Sydney, probably the two most famous clubs in the history of our game. Do you have a preference? Are you prepared to back a new up-and-comer on debut to coach their very first game for St George Illawarra Dragons? Or in your mind, you need to have somebody who, this is a big club and we need somebody who's got the runs on the board?
Well, ultimately, this will be another board decision. I'll obviously have some input in that and shape that, but they'll make the call. I don't think there's any real clear directive on they need to have experience or they need to be new. I don't think anything's like that. I think they look at each candidate that's around. They look at them as a collective. Some have a history with Dragons and some don't. Some have done it before and some haven't. But I couldn't say there's any one criteria that puts you higher up the list. I think you just got to look at them all as a whole. There's different apprenticeships served by a few of the new guys. That carries different weights. So I think there's a whole lot of things that you consider, but there's no one thing that'll put you to the top of the list.
What happens, Ryan, now when you look for a coach? Is it an open application? Like, can anyone apply? Or
are you applying, Brian?
No, I'm just wondering. I'm just wondering how it goes. Do you target people? Do you speak to their managers? I'd like to know how many would you interview?
I guess so what happened at the start of the season, we were open with Anthony and said that we would be looking around at the market. His contract ended at the end of 23 and we didn't have a coach for 24. So that discussion happened early on and allowed us to be a little bit more open in going to the market, chatting to managers and seeing who's out there. And we got obviously a lot of people come to us. So the names tend to show themselves, and we've been doing that now for probably a couple of months, I guess, and building that list.
Yep.
So I wouldn't say it's an application process, but they tend to show themselves, and then you work through that. You've got to find out
What are
what
your
their
strengths,
individual
Brian?
circumstances are, what contractual circumstances, and how keen they all are. So I'd say of everyone we've spoken to, we haven't had anyone who's said they're not interested in coaching the club.
Ryan, on that list that you were sorting out, was there a former Wallabies coach on that list?
There was there's a number of names, I would say.
Oh,
There's
okay.
all shapes and sizes being put to us. So,
Gotcha.
some go further along than others. But
Because I did see Alan Jones in Ricky Steele's box. That's why I was alluding to the fact. I thought
Getting back on the horse.
I thought the Toowoomba tornado might be coming in.
No.
No.
I was saying there's all shapes and sizes. I wouldn't say okay. Well, maybe if he wants to throw the hat in the ring, but I haven't seen that specific resume on the list yet.
No way, Jay.
Ryan, how important is it that we rip the Band-Aid off and announce somebody ASAP? Like, is it June 1 do the Dragons fans know who their coach is in 2024?
Yeah, I wish I could give you a real direct answer, but the best I could say is we don't want it to drag out, because there's a lot of knock-on effects on the back of this. People talk about recruitment of players, but there's also staff, and often a coach will come along with different weaknesses or skill sets or people that they need to bring, or in order to get the best out of them. So there's a lot of things that come on the back of that you have to sort out. So I would say, to answer that, we've got a process to run. So we'll take as long as we need to get the right person, but we don't want it to drag out. So I'd say 3 or 4 weeks, and hopefully we'll get this to just come to a decision.
It's not like the old days where the coach just turns up, runs the side. It is such a big business now. As a result of that, it can't all be Anthony Griffin, what's happened right now. So is there anyone else who should be very nervous at the Dragons? Is there going to be any other departures within the next week or two?
I don't think so. But you're 100% right, Anthony. Fantastic guy, and he did some great work with us right across our club. And although we weren't getting results on field here, but some of the work he did in our pathways and with our young kids, that just can't be understated how great that was. So, there's a lot of people that need to step up now. This is as a collective, we've all got to get better, because just this changing coach, that doesn't make us any better. There's a lot of things that need to happen now on the back of this, or else, a guy's just lost his job for no reason. So I'd expect a lot of people need to think about where accountability lies and where their responsibility lies in helping us get better.
Hey, Ryan, I just want to say before you go, it has been a very, very big day for yourself, naturally, and you're going to sleep very well tonight, I would imagine. But you have come on here and you haven't sort of stood back from anything. You've shown great compassion towards the departing Griffin. So, mate, we're very appreciative of that. We have asked you some big questions, which comes with our job. You're doing your job, we're doing ours, but we do appreciate you giving us the time on the run home with Joel and Fletch, and we wish you and the Dragons all the best in the future.
I appreciate it, boys. Thank you very much.
Thanks, mate.
Ryan Webb,
you.
the CEO of the St George Illawarra